excited to announce that Wensley Cycles is now supporting me for full suspension bikes.
Welcome aboard.
Hey YouTube, what's going on? Today's video is going to be epic. As you know, if you've been watching my channel for a while, since 2018, this has been my main full suspension Enduro big rig. First ever 27.5 bike I've ever owned, and the first bike I've done Enduro on. It's a bike I really learned to ride Mini Dream well on. First full suspension bike I flipped, and the first full suspension bike I rode Big Dream on. So heaps of good memories on this thing, and it's an awesome bike. The first bike Wensley's actually ever gave me a discount on. So really grateful for them doing that way back in 2018. But all good things do come to an end, so we'll just park this bike here. And through this door, I have a bit of a surprise. You probably already know what it is, you've seen the thumbnail. But I am super excited to announce that Wensley Cycles is now supporting me for full suspension bikes, and they have just provided me with the Status 160 2022 Enduro bike. This is just an awesome bike. I'm super excited to have it, and just honestly a dream come true to have this thing. Like, this is so flippin' cool. I mean, like, I am not a super wealthy person, so getting given something like this is just crazy, and I am so grateful. So today's video is going to be all about showing off this thing, showing how good it looks, and doing a bit of a bike check. So we'll start off with a bit of a compilation showing how good it looks. Sweet team, so as you can probably tell already, this bike is flipping amazing, it looks amazing, it is just such a solid, all-around, cool-looking bike. And I'm so excited about how good it looks, and even more excited to ride it, like just like a kid in a candy store, and just so thankful to receive this from Wensley's. Like, it is flipping awesome. And on top of receiving the bike, I actually also received a couple hats from Wensley's. So if you're looking for a good hat to protect yourself from the sun in summer, make sure you hit them up for one of these, because they're selling them now, and they're an awesome hat, and they feel great. What we're going to do now is I'm going to try my best to do this bike justice by doing a bike check and going over the specifications and parts for it. But unfortunately, if you know me well, you'll know I don't know much about bikes and maintenance and stuff like that. I can know how to ride them well, and I have a pretty good base knowledge. But luckily, we have the internet, and because this bike is basically completely stock and you can actually buy it yourself, I can just go to Specialized on Wensley's website and find the specs for you now. So, starting off with the frame. Obviously, this is the Status 160 frame. This one's in the gunmetal gray, but it also comes in a light green option as well. I've gone for the S3 size, which is like the medium size, which is a little bit smaller than my other Enduro bike. And so it's an alloy frame, it's got a threaded bottom bracket, and 12 times 148 millimeter dropouts. Really awesome bike, and set up for 160 mils of travel, this frame. Moving on to the shock here, this is a Fox float rear shock, and I'm just stoked to have like Fox products on my bike, because growing up riding, anyone who had Fox forks or a Fox shock, it just meant you were the man, and I feel like the man having it. Whether you agree or not, I think they're sick. And so the rear shock is a Fox float times performance RX trail tune evil air sleeve 2-piston lever with low speed rebound adjustment. So really awesome that you can adjust the rebound on this thing with this little dial here. And you can, let's click it back to where it was, and you can adjust how firm it is with this blue lever as well, so you can soften it up or lock it right out. I'll probably ride it like close to locked out, because I like riding jumps. And it has 160 mil travel, which is awesome. Exactly the same as my other enduro bike, my old one. So big enough to take some big hits like Big Dream, but small enough it doesn't make the bike heavy for climbs. Moving on to the fork or the front suspension, we have the Fox Float 36 Rhythms. Really awesome fork, set up with 160 mil of travel. So again, big enough to take those big hits, but small enough it doesn't make the bike heavy. They've got a grip dampener, 2-position sweep adjustment, 15 times 110 millimeter through axle to the front. So it's really easy to take the front wheel off and like clean your forks and get to them. And they have 44 millimeter of offset, and again 160 mil of travel, which is a great amount. Moving into the cockpit, we have a specialized alloy trail stem here, 35 millimeter bar hole just for the handlebars to go through. For the handlebars, we have the specialized 6061 alloy, 6-degree upsweep, 8-degree back sweep, and 30 millimeter rise handlebars with 800 mil width. So same width as my old bike as well. I think eventually I will cut these down to like 780 or 760, but for now we're gonna ride them stock, see how they feel. And then for the grips that are like you put your hands on in here, we got the Dydy Knuckle Duster grips in black, which just goes so well with the bike. Like I love that the sort of trim for this bike is just matte black, because it's nice and quiet, but also looks flipping great and slick. And it's pretty close to matching my hardtail as well, so I'm a big fan. Moving back to the saddle, so where I'll be sitting all the time. Hopefully not too much, I don't want to do too much pedaling up, I want to do a lot to jumping and downhill, but the saddle here is a Body Geometry Bridge Comp Hollow Chromo Rails 143 millimeter saddle, specialized logo on it, and the wee bridge name tag on the side there. So really slick looking seat in the back, and obviously you've got the dropper post attached to it as well, so I can put the seat up for climbing up the trails, and just sit down on it, get that thing down for the awesome descent. So super stoked to have a dropper again. Honestly a game changer. It's funny to say, because when I was younger, I thought droppers and stuff like that were dumb, but now it's just a game changer. Absolutely love it. Moving on to the brakes, so obviously being an enduro bike, we've got a front and back brake, because you need that for riding trail, for controlling your speed and slowing down at those high speeds, and I definitely need it, because when I get sketchy on stuff, I want to be able to stop or at least slow down before I crash. Just super stoked to have two really good brakes. And so for both brakes, we're running SRAM Code R brakes, so on the front and the back, both a 4-piston brake. And then for the disc or the rotor, running a 200 mil rotor on the front and on the back. So exactly the same brakes, so super reliable brakes, like super excited to wear them in. Moving down to the drivetrain and the part of the bike that allows you to pedal and makes you go, essentially. The rear derailleur, we have the SRAM NX Eagle 12-speed derailleur. Same one I had on my previous enduro bike. Heaps of variety of like 12 gears to choose from really easy to pedal uphill to really stiff ones for just hauling into stuff. For the shift lever, we also have up the front the SRAM NX Eagle Trigger 12-speed lever, and actually this thing has such an awesome decal on it of the wee like eagle on there. Like it is so cool and so shiny. I absolutely love this thing, how it looks. Then for the cassette, the SRAM Eagle 12-speed 11 to 50 tooth, and then for the chain we have the SRAM NX Eagle 12-speed as well. And then finally the chain ring on the front 32 tooth, and the crankset is the SRAM NX Eagle 170 millimeter. So all SRAM NX Eagle all through here. Super awesome drivetrain, stoked on that. And the pedals that are attached to it are the Race Face Chester pedals. Been running these for a few years now on both my dirt jump bike and my enduro bike. Just awesome pedal, really big, really light, big pins, they got heaps of grip. And when I'm doing those no-foot tricks, there's heaps of room to put my feet back on and get back to the bike. So I love these pedals. Bottom bracket, this is all attached to as a SRAM Dub BSA 73 millimeter threaded bottom bracket as well. Okay, moving on to the wheels. So this is the first really different thing for me on a bike. The front wheel on this is actually a 29-inch bike. So my other bike, all my tires were 27.5 inch, my dirt trim was 26. This is a 29-inch front wheel, which I'm really excited to try out. The idea being having a 29-inch at the front, 27.5 at the back. That makes it a mullet bike because the front wheel is bigger, which means you can sort of monster truck through more stuff, have more control on the front, and be more nimble in the back, which I'm excited for whipping, spinning, and flipping with, which is going to be so sick to test out soon. But for the rim on the front, we have a specialized 29-inch hookless alloy, 30mm inner width, tubeless ready rim. I'm actually running this bike with tubes in it just to make my tires a bit stronger for if I land sideways and stuff, and so I don't lose pressure. I'd rather pop a tire and have it stronger than like be burping it all the time. It does make it a bit heavier, but for what I do, I think it's better. And then the front hub that is connected to this tube, not to this tube, the front hub that's connected to this rim, pardon me, is an alloy sealed cartridge bearings, 15 times 110mm through axle, which means if I just exit these handlebars round, there's a wee lever here I can pull, unscrew that, pull it out. Really easy to take the front wheel off to make the bike smaller to fit in like the back of a car, or just like to clean your forks or whatever. So really excited that's really simple for me to use because I'm a simple man. And then moving back to the back end, so we've got a 27.5 rim here, and it's got and actually yeah, it's a specialized 20, so it's the same as the front rim. Front rim's 29, this is just 27, a specialized hookless alloy rim. The rear hub here is a alloy sealed cartridge bearings, 12 times 148mm through axle. So again, on this side, there's a wee axle I can undo, take the back wheel off really easy, which is great for me because I need it to be easy. Spokes on both the back and the front are DT Swiss spokes, which is excellent because I know these spokes are strong. So a lot of guys run them. I ran them on my previous bike and I never actually broke any of them. So I'm really excited to have really reliable forks again on here. For the tires, let's spin it around so you can see. We have the Butcher Grid Trail casing 29-inch on the front and the Butcher Grid Trail casing 27.5-inch on the back. So the 29 on the front is 29 times 2.3 and the back is 27 times 2.3. So real awesome meaty tires. The only thing I'm noticing that's really different about them is they feel quite soft. Like the knobs in them are really soft compared to my other bikes I've had. It's really interesting to see how that goes. Like there's not much pressure on this tire right now compared to what I'll normally run when I'm riding like Mini Dreamer jumps, but really interested to see how this goes. And they're just set up for normal standard press to valve inner tubes. And again, this can be tubeless, but I choose to run it with tubes to make my wheels a bit stronger and because I prefer it. Sweet team, that is my new enduro bike in a nutshell. Like this thing is flipping awesome. I'm super excited to now be the owner of a brand new Specialized Status 160. What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to run across the screen for a moment, a wee screen recording of all the specific like lengths and heights and like different stats of this bike. So if you're interested in that, have a read of those now and either pause it. I'll also link those in the description. But I decided not to read over these just because there's a lot to read there and I don't even fully understand it. But if you do, that's awesome. But really, really stoked on this bike. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go through a couple comparisons to my old bike, tell you what's different between the two, and then yeah, that'll probably be it for the video. So let's get the other one and I'll tell you some of the differences. All right, team. So here's my older enduro bike, which if you've been subscribed to the channel for a while, you're probably really familiar with. Super awesome bike and super grateful for the times I've had on this. But if we do a little comparison between this one and the new one, like they're both obviously super good bikes. Like this is a super capable bike and this is a super capable bike. This one's just newer is really like the main thing. So like not to down talk this one, I'm just going to talk about some of the things I'm excited about for this one. So starting off with this Rain 1, it's a large frame, and Giant's 2018 Rain 1, I think most of their Rain 1s, what I've been told, are actually quite a large, like they're really long and really big. So this bike sits high off the ground, it's a lot longer than this one, which means like for doing whips, spins, and flips, it's actually harder to do it with, and I find it was harder to manual this bike than it was this one. And I've only ridden this one really like maybe 500 meters down the street, but I can manual this one almost as easy as my hardtail, which I'm so excited about. So I used to struggle manualing this one a little bit sometimes. I'd be quite scared when I got the front wheel right up because just how far of the back wheel I had to get. But because this one's a bit shorter and smaller, it was way nicer to do. And again, like this one's a medium is why it's much smaller. If I got the larger one, it would have been close to the size of this, but I went for medium. And for like riding trails, large is probably the size I should have, but I went for a medium one just because I'm more of a trick guy and I want to have a more free ride feeling bike. So giving it a go this year. Other big differences, like this bike is both 27.5, whereas this one is 27.5 in the back, but 29 in the front. So what that should mean is that this bike should go better like through rough stuff and have more control over the front. I should be like quicker and harder through berms and stuff like that because the wheel is bigger. But in terms of like flicking the back end around, this should be about the same. And then I guess the only other real like changes, well, they're actually super obvious changes. Obviously they're different brands of bikes. So like I've got RockShox fork and shock here, whereas this is a Fox shock and fork. I'm actually not too sure which one's better yet. Like I'm more excited for Fox because of the brand, but this is a great shock and fork as well. But what I do like about this one is it just has a little bit more adjustment on the shock with the rebound and with that wee blue lever here for adjusting the firmness, and same with the on the front up here. Like this fork did have quite a bit of adjustment here for the like compression and stuff, but just not as much as that one does, or it's not as simple as this one is for me. Like this one, I just like, I turn it to right, I know it's firm. I don't really need to worry about any like how to set it up. Whereas this one, it was a bit more technical. So I like this one a lot more for the fork and suspension. Don't know how it rides yet, but I imagine it's gonna be a bit better. And like, obviously a lot of the stuff is the same, like the pedals, the wheel size, like the drivetrain and stuff is all super similar on these bikes. So it should feel the same, but being a brand new bike, it'll just feel that much cleaner. And yeah, that is a bit of a side-by-side look in comparison between my old Enduro bike, which has served me well, and my brand new Enduro bike, which I'm sure is going to serve me super well too. Let's move this one over. I just want to show you one other thing I'm stoked about. So an old Enduro bike, if I give this a quick spin, like reasonably noisy hub, not too loud, but reasonably noisy. But now if I go to the Specialized, let's roll this one in, give it a pedal. Much noisier, much cleaner sounding, and like there's no better sound than a really obnoxious hub. So I'm stoked on that. So what we'll do to finish off this video, I'll put the old Enduro bike away. And actually, if you're watching this video and you're interested in buying that bike, it's currently for sale now. At the time of uploading this video, I believe it's still for sale. I haven't sold it yet. I'm looking for around $2,500. I'm open to offers. Feel free to give me a message on Instagram or like send me an email at levi.goodall@gmail.com if you're interested in that. But I'm now going to put that bike away, and then we'll get into a couple things I'm thinking of doing with this bike. Alright team, so just to finish off this video, I want to talk about a couple of things I might potentially change in the future of this bike. Like obviously really stoked with it, but in the future I do want to turn it into like a real free ride machine, kind of like the bikes that you see like Brandon Sanick and Brett Reeder use at Rampage that are bar spinnable, and they use them for tricks as well as downhill. And so for doing that, what I would like to do in future, I'm thinking about doing is like obviously if you look at these bars, they can't spin right around. They can X up, but they cannot bar spin without like ripping cables and damaging cables. And a way to get around that with keeping your gears and your dropper is to get a wireless dropper and gears. So how it works, you get like a shifter here and a dropper post here, and then there's a wee like battery sort of pack thing you put on your seat post or somewhere on the frame it connects to. And then it shifts like that. My friend Callum Holloway showed me his one, it's really cool. So I was thinking maybe in future getting one of those, and then with my back brake just having a way longer cable like I do on my dirt jump bike, and then threading the front brake through the stem, so you get stem caps with like a wee front brake feature, a front brake cord like sort of hole, and you put it through there, down through here so the bars can bar spin. So I think that's something I'd like to do in future, and like these bars are really wide, they're 40 mils wider than my dirt jumper bars, so I'd like to cut them down to 780, maybe even 760. I'm thinking, but we'll ride them first and see. Other than that, really chuffed on the bike, and I mean even without the upgrades, this bike is flipping sick. I just want to point out, this thing is completely stock. The only thing that isn't stock on this bike is these wee Chester pedals here. And so if you want to buy this bike, you actually can fully order this from Wensley Cycles. Like they ordered it for me 5 days before the ride. They ordered it on a Wednesday. It was there on the Monday the next week. So if you want one of these, get into them, see them, hit them up, get in gray, get in green, get in whatever. But you can actually buy exactly the same bike as me. And like in future videos, I'll show you how capable this thing is. So can't recommend it enough. But in any case, guys, it is the end of today's video, so I think we'll get one more compilation of this thing just to show how awesome it is. But you're an absolute legend for watching, so enjoy this compilation. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers, team.